as he said, he's really not intimidated by JD Vance. Let's be honest, this is not an intimidating man. So I think he knows he's going to do pretty well, and he's putting this out solely to lower the expectations a little bit, so that when he does do insanely good, everyone gives him even more credit than they would have. What do you guys think?
I think he's in his mind, bro. I think he knows exactly what he's doing. This is psychological war from Coach Walz. This man was a defensive coordinator in one of the premier high school football teams in Minnesota, state champion defense, I might add. This guy knows about intimidation. This guy knows about working the mind of the man across the aisle from you. He's in his mind. He's saying, yeah, I'm scared. I'm shaking in my shoes. I can't wait for this to be over. Meanwhile, he's in the bag. He's working the heavy bag. He's been jumping rope. He's been staying hungry. Okay, I love to make a Rocky analogy on this.
Which Rocky?
Rocky 3 is my go-to. Just because I like to compare myself to Thunder Lips, But in this particular analogy, we got to bring up Mr. T. We got to talk about Clubber Lang. Okay, we got to talk about a man that's been in the basement, working hard, getting hungry. Okay, and this guy's been doing that in Minnesota. He's been doing the work. He's been hitting the heavy bag. He hasn't been soft. Okay, look at JD Vance. He looks soft. He's been eating cheeseburgers and taking Ozempic. Okay, this is not a man that's ready to go in there and scrap. This is not a man that'll fucking rip your heart out and stomp on it. He is no Coach Walz.
Yeah, who can stay hard for longer, I guess, is what Zach is asking here. And frankly, I don't know. I mean, we should test both, make sure neither of them are on any kind of supplements or Blue Chew or anything.
Two-pump chump. Let's be real.
He's 100%. I mean, like, for Walz, on one end, like, the whole, like, Walz's nervous thing, like, obviously, like, what is he going to be nervous of from JD? Like, who can, like, get in the pool with a shirt on better? Like, I don't see what the scariness of JD is. But on the other side, I will say, I think Kamala has made a fatal mistake in not putting Walz out there more. Like, Walz is not getting the practice and the reps, because you can be an all-star athlete, but if you're not getting the reps, if you're not in confrontational interviews like JD Vance has been for the last 100 days, like, obviously to a lot of people, it's just been like him stepping on rakes and, like, to use a word from a close friend, but clowning himself. But
to anybody with ears and eyes, that's been pretty much.
But it has, like, that's going to make anyone a little bit sharper, a little bit, like, ready to be on the defense. And I do think that, like, Kamala's team has done Walz, like, zero favors here.
Yeah, I think this is the exact analysis that we heard before Kamala went out and absolutely spanked Donald Trump in the debate. I'll tell you what, guys. You guys think that JD Vance, after getting clobbered by reporter after reporter, is going to take care of Tim Walz, Coach Walz, governor of Minnesota? No, absolutely not, guys. Here's the real rub. Here's the 411. It's fake news. And the reality is that Tim Walz has been where he needs to be. This weekend, he was in the Minnesota-Ann Arbor, Michigan game. He was surrounded by 60,000 diehard Midwestern voters. And instead of pandering to the people who are already going to lock up the Democratic Party vote, he's out there managing swing voters in a place like Michigan. I think that's a good use of his time. I think the questions that real voters are going to ask him are going to translate into his debate performance. You guys wait and see.
Unfortunately, I do agree with Griffin. I don't think there's enough time left in this election for, like, on-the-ground meet and greet kind of bullshit to move the needle very much at all. I do think that he needs to be on TV. He needs to be making the case to the American public more. That's what got him the job in the first place, was his excellent TV spots on CNN, MSNBC. He's already proven that he's a better communicator on the medium, on television, than Kamala Harris is. It really doesn't make much sense. Plus, I do worry that they're just using him wrong. I feel like they're not talking enough about his actual accomplishments as a politician, as an executive in the state of Minnesota. They're not talking enough about how much better he's made that state since becoming governor, since getting his agenda through. And instead, weirdly, they're kind of using him in this, like, folksy, like, pandery, like, way, where you'll see these ads. You'll see these ads on, like, Twitter where it's like, donate $5 to get access to, like, Tim Walz's, like, casserole recipe. And he's wearing a flannel shirt, and there's a flannel background. And there's another one where it was like, here's a video of Coach Walz showing you how to, like, fix your carburetor or some bullshit. And it was, and he didn't even show you. It just immediately. He started talking about Project 2025 like 3 seconds in.
Here's what you do: you complain about Project 2025 until a Republican pulls over and fixes your car for you. They wonder.
And I'm like,
Republican
but
goes,
why-
actually, that's not what Project 2025 is about. Let me get over there. Yeah,
I just feel like they're kind of misunderstanding his appeal a little bit. And I do hope that in the debate, people that have only seen that side of him see a new side of him and kind of understand his appeal, and he's able to shine. But I am worried that they're kind of squandering what should be the absolute asset for this ticket, the best part of the ticket, the most electable aspect. I'm like, why are you? Who's the strategist behind this?
So here's I'll enlighten you guys. Here's the 411. Like I said, you guys have been talking about this a lot. I heard a lot of this. Like I said, I heard a lot of the same criticisms, right? Where Kamala's not a great speaker. Kamala's
hold on.
From the
but she didn't have a debate.
Hold on.
All right, you go first.
She did debate. She did debate Donald Trump.
She did beautiful.
And she wiped the floor with him.
She did a self-tape. She did a self-tape.
Sustains itself.
It was a self-tape with 3 other people in the room.
Guess what the big moment for Tim Walz is going to be? It's going to be the debate that everybody's watching 1 month before the election. Outside of that, yes, I do think it's important that he shows his face in places like Michigan and Pennsylvania and Wisconsin.
It's definitely important.
Exactly what he's been doing. And then he has a moment where he lampoons the other vice president live on fucking television. He absolutely wipes the floor with him. Okay. Leaves no crumbs behind. Talks about the vision for the future. I think he's going to do that. I think he's going to pick up exactly where Kamala left off, where she had the politics.
We agree with that.
He's going to have the politics of legislation.
Yes,
so
we agree with that.
Nervous? It's about
no, dude. Like you didn't you didn't refute a single one of our points. You just soyed out on the stuff that we already agree about. Like, and again, listen, folks.
You didn't make a single reasonable argument.
Yeah, no, we did. We agree with you on all the joy and how he's better.
To be the Harlem Globetrotters.
What's your difference? What's your disagreement with us as far as the media strategy?
Yeah, in saying reps, in saying that, like, yes, obviously it's probably pretty easy to beat Vance. Yes, like Walz has a great image and runs on great stuff, but like, why are we hiding him? Why are we keeping him in the garage?
He's not in the garage, guys. He was just out at the Ann Arbor, Michigan. He was just Minneapolis football game.
I know that. I know he loves to eat pot stickers and fucking dumplings at fairs and go, "Oh yeah, this is pork chop on a stick." That's not going to help in a confrontational interview.
Run away from some
yeah, exactly. And they'll be like, "Hey, what about the hostages?" And they'll be like, "I got to shove more pork down my gullet." Like, like the thing is like. Yeah, like exactly. It's like he's going to, before he answers a question on Palestine, he's going to become Kobayashi. He's going to shove 15 fucking hot dogs down his throat before you're going to get any question about anything substantive. I'm not saying that I like Vance or.
I refute your point, but what I'm telling you is you would have said the exact same thing going into the Kamala debate. You said she wasn't getting enough reps in. You said she wasn't getting enough.
And she wasn't.
She had to bring Tim Walz with, and then she wiped the floor with him. So what does it matter?
That's actually telling you. At least there's a strategy behind not putting Kamala in front of the cameras because she kind of sucks in interviews. With Tim Walz, we're saying it's stupid not to because he does so well in interviews. It's like he's the biggest asset to the ticket. Why not put him out there more to make up for Kamala's deficiency in that regard? Let her do more rally stuff on the ground. Big teleprompter speeches. Let him do impromptu, off-the-cuff questions, because as we saw, he's actually really good at framing this stuff. He actually is really good at inspiring people to vote for this ticket and to sell them on the policies. He was doing that before he even got picked to be the running mate. So I feel like, they shouldn't let the weird thing fade. They shouldn't let his, banger framing that really sold him, made him be the pick in the first place. They shouldn't let that fade. They should have him out there hammering that stuff over and over again, calling JD Vance and Donald Trump weird.
If anything, just because it helps him. Like, yes, okay, Kamala got away with it because Trump shot himself in the fucking head. That was not a.
JD Vance is going to shoot himself in the fucking head too.
Hopefully,
and maybe, but fundamentally, JD Vance is not like a fucking octomillionarian who can't not keep his head straight. Like JD Vance is a nerd. He is a nerd who has been through a very hard media environment that's been incredibly confrontational, and that just naturally is better reps. Now, I still think Walz is going to win, but if you are a coach or someone that is coaching the Kamala. No. Because you think it's binary. You think that me and Gavin. By the way, I love our shows called Circle Jerk, and all we do is fucking yell at each other. So the thing is like we all think he's going to win, but we just think they're not doing. You could seal the deal even more by like giving him those opportunities.
It's a violent circle jerk.
I mean, I guess that's true, right? All I'm saying is that I think their strategy's working, and I think that when you have Tim Walz out doing things like this, it is going to make a meaningful impact on the margin. Whereas most people who tune into MSNBC, CNN, Fox News, they aren't actual swing voters. I think getting fucking, hand-to-hand, connections with people is something that will move the needle. And if you guys want to know why they're not putting him out 24/7, it's because they don't want him to constantly upstage Kamala Harris. They want Kamala Harris people, whether
That's a
you
good
like
answer.
It or not, do not want him to constantly upstage her. They're just not going to let that happen. She is the top of the ticket, and they don't want him to look like he's the president behind her. It's a vanity thing, but that's a big part of the reason they're not adopting that strategy.
No,
I just feel like
I agree with that.
I would put my ego aside. I would put my ego aside personally if it meant getting into the fucking White House. Like,
the White House.
I'm just saying, like, yeah, sure, upstage me for fucking 3 weeks, and then I'm gonna be president, and I can send you to the doghouse if I want. Like, who cares if you get upstaged for a couple weeks?
I think there's also, there's two things going on here. One is like, I do think that like Walz fundamentally cannot give like the lifeless, ghoulish answers on Israel Palestine that like the State Department or like Biden does. I think that like fundamentally he'll have a more empathetic answer that conflicts with the current administration's goals
on immigration too. You
and
never
on
hear
immigration too.
immigration.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's
so
like
I think
he
there's
refuses to say the stuff that they want him to.
So there's that aspect. And then, this was widely reported on when Kamala was picking him, is that he told her, hey, I'm not good at debates. He told her like, hey, that's like not my skill set. And I guess that's the excuse of most
that's
lefties
like
on the internet.
Baseball, and then everybody's like, hey, will you go throw the first pitch out? Like, he can throw the first pitch out. He could go to the batting cages like, the rest of us have a few beers and hit some balls. Okay, that's what you're asking him to do. Go play wiffle ball in the backyard with your kids. He's a Midwesterner. He could do that. He could defeat J.D. Vance if he wants to. Coach Walz versus J.D. Vance. I mean, come on, guys.
Yeah, that's why I don't buy the whole nervous thing. It's like, this dude is the governor of Minnesota. So, I mean, he got that position somehow. He had to out-debate a few people. He was a congressman before that, had to out-debate a few people. So clearly he's not bad at it. Also, I mean, he's clearly good at media appearances. He's good at off-the-cuff interviews. Is it really that much of a different skill set to debate someone versus answer tough questions on TV? Like, it's basically the same skill set if you ask me. So I think he's lying. I think he's only putting that whole nervous thing out there to lower everyone's expectations.
Yeah,
I really do. And also leave the room for just in case he does poorly, but I don't think he will.
So we all agree, Zach, that we love Coach. We cry every time he comes on stage, and he generally is a more likable person running on better policy. So let's look at our man JD Pants over here. Now JD, like, what do we think JD's going to whip out at this thing? Because I think like JD's biggest problem, other than that I want to kill myself. I'm sorry, YouTube. I want to unalive myself when I see him on the television screen. But I feel like, he's still been molded in that battle. But his big problem is that he is like a nerd, and he like can't talk generally about things, and he loves to talk about like weird policy.
He's so fucking grating and gross and unlikable, and he's made himself cringe on the internet, and there's no coming back from that. Like, you can spin it and like a PC, like enlightened, like I'm writing about this for CNN.com. But the fact is, he's publicly humiliated himself at every single opportunity since he was pulled from relative conservative obscurity, like hillbilly elegy. Right? It had kind of waned. He was not very popular in the mainstream political discourse at that time, and then he continued to belly flop and belly flop and belly flop and belly flop. Now juxtapose that with Tim Walz, who had a similar circumstance, plucked from obscurity after being relatively accomplished as a governor of Minnesota, and what has he done? He has played the game, hop from one lily pad to the next lily pad to the next lily pad, hasn't had a scandal, hasn't had a controversy, and has been able to raise the approval rating and the popularity of the Democratic Party ticket by a fuckload since he was added in August 6th. So I just think if you compare and contrast that, there's absolutely no reason to be worried, and there's no reason to think J.D. Vance will catch lightning in the bottle and have the best night of his life after he's done nothing but step on brakes.
Don't get... Okay, sorry, Griffin. I didn't mean to cut you off.
You first. Get him untwisted. He's a pretzel right now.
All I was going to say is, bro, like, I hear you. I agree to some extent, but you're playing a dangerous game. Everyone did the same thing with Sarah Palin back in 2008. Everyone said it was going to be the most historically disgraceful VP debate performance in modern American history, and then she just did fine, and everyone was like, "Oh wow, she's actually like capable of debating. Maybe she's not so bad." And then everyone gave her too much credit, more than she deserved, because the bar was set so low. So while I agree JD Vance sucks, I do think he's intelligent enough to go into this debate with an actual strategy, unlike Trump did in the last one. I don't think he has as big of an ego as Trump does, and he knows that he's actually going to take it seriously. So I'm just saying, expect him to do better than you think.
But isn't that also a point for Walz, who was like, oh, if you want to set the bar low, let me get out here and leak to the public that I'm fucking nervous because I'm a horrible debater. And that way, even if JD Vance does perform mildly well, they'll be like, oh yeah, but this is like the weakest thing in Tim Walz's arsenal. He's going to go home and cook some chili and be a likable guy, something that JD Vance can never do. And sometimes being the VP is just being likable, right?
Yeah.
Just being a friendly face on the ticket, somebody that makes, a spoonful of sugar to help the medicine go down, right? I mean, that's exactly what Tim Walz is, right? He makes it easier to stomach Kamala, who's a horrible candidate.
No, okay. All right. Well, okay, yes. I wanted to talk more about Vance and like what his issues are, other than the fact that Tim Walz, you think, is an epic coach. Like the big problem for me with I think with JD is like he's a fucking nerd and he can't not talk about weird ass policy. Like every fucking day Kamala HQ unearths a new podcast quote like this one here.
But I also think, there's something comparable, between abortion and slavery, and
that abortion meets slavery. The Venn diagram is a circle, folks. Circle jerk. But the thing is like, so what my thing is like, one of Vance's like most humiliating things has been he's come out with a policy and then Trump will just totally say, actually, that's not what we're doing. Like with the national abortion ban thing was something that Vance was like, oh, we won't do that. And then Trump got asked on the debate stage and Trump was like, who's JD? I don't know JD. Whatever JD saying is weird. Like the JD Vance actually struggles in talking in cool generalities like a politician and like is obsessed with doing these fucking MAGA ridoid freako points. And like so I feel like actually outside of that, I don't think Walz is going to like be able to hit him harder than these guys are weird, like, which has been effective. But I think that like JD will create his own fucking grave by just talking about weird policy points.
It's weird, I think, because in the same way that I think in some way they're kind of misusing Tim Walz. Not that there's really any good way to use JD Vance. I think he was an atrocious pick, but it is bizarre that like they seemingly picked him because of his like right-wing populism, some of the stuff he's done in the Senate. Like he has worked with Sherrod Brown, he's worked with Elizabeth Warren. He has tried to get some quote unquote populist shit done. They don't really seem to care about that. They don't really seem to be focusing on it at all. It really does seem to be more of a culture war pick. Do you think that's an incorrect strategy? Do you think it would be better if they leaned into his quote unquote populism instead of constantly just talking about like weird gender shit and culture war stuff?
What do you think, Zach?
I mean, I think it's tough, right? Because there's so much dirt on the guy that he was just a humiliating like the oppo was clear. Like I read the entire JD Vance dossier, right? I found the weird, obscure 1970s ethics act that he violated that the Trump found dirt on, but never did anything about it. And nobody else will do anything about it. I read all of the times that he disagreed with Donald Trump. That was all in there, right? And that was already going to put a thorn in a diehard MAGA sign, or the diehard.
Pretty much every Republican said anti-Trump shit in like 2016. It's even like Marco Rubio. You know what I'm saying?
Right, but the MAGA movement.
No one cares.
I guess they'll kind of wash away. Yeah, maybe fair enough. But I don't know. I just think that this guy, he was always going to be dead weight. I think that there were other outcomes where if Joe Biden had stayed the nominee, Donald Trump could have carried that dead weight to success in November.
Yeah.
But honestly, if you're asking me how you successfully spin JD Vance, you keep him off the fucking airwaves. You keep him off of people's radar.
Yeah.
You put him in the closet and you only let him interact, between the lines with people who already massively agree with you, and you do just treat him as like red meat for the base for this weird evangelical, like true con, new like Catholic revival. I don't know what the fuck it is, but it's a big thing on the right wing right now. Fine, he's your new Josh Hawley. You want to use him as that. Josh Hawley became immediately unpopular on a national level.
Yeah,
JD Vance.
the right wing.
I don't think that it's a sound strategy. But go on.
I was just gonna say that you're right that Josh Hawley and JD Vance are both like the closest thing the right wing has to like populist or whatever, and they're two of the most unlikable, just fucking like they make your skin crawl. They're not good at really being politicians, like you said, Griffin. I don't think that JD Vance is good at appealing to like normal folks. Maybe incels or like this weird group of white men who are super bitter about like identity politics and wokeness. I guess maybe he's a hit with those people, although even the Groypers hate him. So I don't really know who his demographic is. Maybe like single men in their 30s who aren't quite extreme enough to be Groypers, but like they kind of relate to his. I don't fucking know.
Block addition. It's dead weight.
It's guys who like sole form of sustenance is the frozen Hungry Man meals in the grocery store. Like the ones that are like a chicken breast and mashed potato gravy.
But it's actually like just like right-wing conservatives that work at think tanks that like twisted their mustache and, were like,
and they don't even like him
from Yale.
And they don't even
think that the guy that eats Hungry Man's for dinner likes him.
Well, that's the funny thing is
that guy doesn't.
Well, what I hear through the grapevine, through my many conservative sources through the grapevine, I hear that, a lot of the people, even from that camp, don't like him, and that women from that sort of new right. Yeah, we put a new on that right.
We're not going to name names on who he's talking about on this podcast because we're on our best behavior.
We're on our nouvelle rouge right. But the thing about them, he doesn't have any like women around him. There's no women on his team, and like not even like the MAGA women really care about him. But what I will say, I think that you're overlooking, Zach, is like, Zach, I think your strategy in like a normal election would work. But unfortunately, the guy that Vance is running with doesn't want to do anything, doesn't want to do almost anything except like golf and like getting shot at. Like that's the only things that Trump wants to do. So JD Vance has actually had to like run the campaign and be the front facing of the campaign.
Done a good job.
I'm not saying he's done a good job. I'm just saying that this is the position that he's in. Like if JD Vance wasn't out there, there would be just nothing. There would be zero. Yeah. And maybe that would be better for Trump. I don't know.
I think it would be better for Trump because here, let me bring up a point that I've been meaning to get to about this. You guys, let me bring up a point. He's not gonna want to talk so much about Palestine, right? Neither of them are. What he's gonna want to talk about is immigration, and I think that my forecast is that Tim Walz eats JD's lunch when it comes to immigration, and here's exactly how he's gonna do it. He is going to talk about he's going to talk out of both sides of his mouth really brilliantly. He's going to talk about the accomplishments of the Biden administration by being brutal fascists that have been like, anti-asylum seekers, pro-Title 42, really, really pro-border crackdown in a way that I don't agree with, right? He's going to celebrate that and tout it as their laurels, but then he's also going to cloak it in the language that we've been suggesting the Democrats do from an analytical standpoint, right? Like I would want them to change their policy. They're not going to do that, right? But at least he'll couch it in language that will help them win, which is to say he's not going to be afraid to say immigrants are great for this country. We're a nation of immigrants. This country's a melting pot. Immigrants built this country. My ancestors are immigrants. Your ancestors are immigrants. That's why we celebrate immigration of this country. We don't fear it. Immigrants are welcome here. Meanwhile, he'll also tout how we make them explicitly unwelcome here all the time, right? And I think that JD Vance is going to come off as racist and he's going to come across as unhinged. And I think the moderators are going to set him up for failure. I think they're going to make him respond to, some of the really ridiculous, unhinged
I do think you're right.
Springfield, Ohio.
They're gonna force him to. The moderators are 100% going to say, JD Vance, do you admit here and now on live television that you lied?
Right.
You lied about these cats and dogs being eaten by Haitians, and then that's gonna make JD Vance nervous. He's not good on the spot. He's not good at being tough. Remember when Kamala and Walz, they were talking a lot about Trump at the cemetery, right? The military cemetery where Trump disgraced the veterans or whatever.
Where they pushed over an autistic person or something like.
Well, JD Vance, he got on at TV or did a rally or whatever, and he tried to sound all tough, and he was like, screw you or something. Do you remember that? I think we reacted to it, and it was like the most failed attempt to sound tough I've ever seen.
It was fail.
So what's going to happen if we're lucky is that the moderators, in addition to Tim Walz, are going to trigger him into trying to stand up for himself and say, "Fuck you! The fake news media is spreading these lies, and I'm just sticking up for the people." It's going to be really cringe. So I hope that he gets triggered like that. I hope he tries to sound tough and then kind of falters, loses his balance, and is off balance for the rest of the debate. That is definitely the best we can hope for.
You guys just spent the last hour agreeing with me. I just want everybody.
Everyone agreed that he's going to do well at the debate.
I debated him into a headlock.
The reason why we wanted to go out.
We're the real coach. You're you're just the water boy. We're the coaches, okay?
I'm the Nick Sirianni.
The reason why we all agreed that he's going to do well at the debate is also the reason why we're saying he should be out on TV more, because he's so predictably good in these sort of situations.
And I'm saying it's better to catch lightning in a bottle one time.
Zach, can you turn your Zach, turn your mic up just a skosh. I mean, you know how when Trump was debating Hillary Clinton, he brought in all of the Bill Clinton's like women or whatever. They should do that for this debate. JD should have all the cats of Springfield sitting there and being like, look, Waltz, are you going to apologize to these cats? Are you going to apologize to these cats and dogs of Springfield for what you've done to their people? That would be my only advice for JD. Yes, I think JD will lose, but obviously, Springfield, Ohio is going to be like half the fucking thing. And then I think that there is a brand new... I think there's a brand, moving on. I think this is the perfect place to move on, actually, because there is like a brand new disaster that I do think that Biden, Kamala, and the Democrats are kind of like failing to meet the moment on, which is this like hurricane shit. And I think that I think the hurricane stuff is going to be a very easy layup for the Republicans. And so I think we should go to that next.
Okay, so I agree with that. Is it actually true though? Like, I mean, haven't they both put out statements? They've like sent aid. They've done all the things. Like, what exactly do people want them to do? Like, go down there like one of those reporters and get blown around by the wind or something? Like,
yes, I think that's what you do. I think when you're a president, you go on podcasts, you shake hands, you eat corn dogs, and you get blown around by the wind. This is like such an easy layup. Like, if I found out this disaster was happening when I was running for president, I'd be like, fucking airdrop me in. Fucking, I'm like the Dwayne the Rock Johnson.
Tom Cruise.
Gif, like
he's
the Black
coming
Adam.
off of his motorcycle.
Yes,
but don't you
exactly.
just think that people would call that a photo op though, and just be like, "Oh wow, they're not doing anything except for taking a photo and then leaving immediately"?
I think you could do more than that too.
Yeah, right. What you do is. And spin it. This is so cold and
go to Runza,
America. What you do is you do what Donald Trump did in East Palestine, right? We know that
cheeseburgers of people.
Yes,
yes.
Still talk
Thank
about
you.
That made him so popular. That was actually a correct political instinct. That was one of the last truly good political instincts that Donald Trump had, and that's one of the key distinctions between him and J.D. Vance. I might add, right, is that Donald Trump can walk into a McDonald's and actually get people to like him. Whether I think Donald Trump is the most odious fuckhead of all time, but I can look at him interact.
But if you saw him coming into a Dunkin', you'd be like, "Mr. President!"
I'd be like, double on that guy's tab. He can afford it. He's a billionaire. I'll give my tax dollars. No.
Yeah, no, I know what you're saying. That is true. That is true. I just don't really know exactly. I mean, what is she supposed to swim through the fucking sewer water or something?
Yes, she's supposed to fucking get like Scuba Steve. She's supposed to fucking get down there and dirty.
I'm not trying to justify it or anything or like defend them or anything. But I do think it's just like okay, like clearly it's a fucked situation. What
so,
I mean,
what
even do you do? Drain all the water with the big.
Okay, hold on. No, obviously we're not asking her to fix it on day one or something. But but knowing that this is like Hurricane Katrina for white people. Okay,
and I don't care.
Well, great, but like that's why like
I do care.
White people are like the main thing that they need to get more.
9/11 moment.
So
I don't care about.
Yeah,
I deserved it. Gavin does not care about white people.
No, I do agree. They should be doing more. I guess
what I would add, if I could,
no one would say that about Bush or Katrina or any of that stuff. Like, what's he gonna do? Drain it all? Like, no, they're like, no, we need like a direct, clear federal response, and to have this be like a super big focus. Like, this is easy stuff. This is like very beginner level politics.
Yeah.
Oh, well, of course. Look, here's what would actually a savvy politician would do, right? Because we all operate fundamentally with the understanding that our government will never really help us except on the margin, right? But what you do is you lay out a plan to talk about here, like, and it's difficult for Harris. Here's the line Harris has to walk. She knows that it's weekend at Biden's. Okay, it's lame duck at Biden's. Okay, he's dead, not doing anything. He's not going to put forth a single policy. He's not going to meet any moments. Okay. But he also is still in charge until January. So she has to narrowly walk this line where she's like, here's what I would do as president without looking like she's throwing, the president that she's serving under the bus. Now, you might be like, go ahead and throw Biden under the bus. That would be worth it. I just don't think she's going to make that political decision. So what's the next best thing that she could do? I think, not only going down there, but I think unleashing a plan for, how we can nationally plan to have reserve funding for when these climate disasters start coming all over the top, and you have to weave that into your discussion of climate change, right? And talk about how if one thing that you'll do differently than Joe Biden is you won't expand offshore drilling, right? But you don't put it like that. You just say we're going to end offshore drilling. There will be no Willow project.
How do you put it? Wait, how do you put it then? You're going to end offshore drilling, but you're not going to say it?
Well, you imply it heavily. Yeah, right? You don't want the Republicans to be able to get an easy dunk off of it.
I mean, other than literally the federal government subsidizing the evacuation of every single resident of these communities that are in the paths of increasingly massive hurricanes, like, what is the plan?
So, okay, there's two things. I'm not going to explain exactly every day how to solve the crisis. I'm explaining politically what you do. You show up with the head of FEMA, you get fucking dropped in, you look serious, and you get ready to answer a million questions about it, because this is now an issue, I think, on the election stage. Yeah. She's going to get asked a bunch.
Interested though, what you think the plan should be.
Oh, I mean,
as far as how to prevent this kind of shit.
How to prevent it? I mean, we got to stop HARP. Okay, I'm glad you asked. We have to stop HAARP, which is the conservatives let me know. The weather control machine.
The chemtrails.
Yeah,
I'm so glad you asked.
The weather machine.
I'm so glad you asked. How do we stop it?
We got to talk about that, because it is unhinged how many people on Twitter, at least, just are seemingly. They've lost touch with reality. They've lost touch. The tether has been cut.
They're touching because they're touching the cosmos now. They've left Earth and they're in the cosmos. They're in our atmosphere now. Because folks, the conservatives have actually already kind of gotten ahead of this. They know that the deep state are creating these hurricanes with HARP. Now, what is HARP? Let me explain it to you, because I've been going down a deep dive here.
What have you been harping?
I've been harping. About? Let's I'm Joanna Newsom right now. So HARP stands for let's actually find the real definition here. Let's go. Let's see. HARP. High Frequency Active Auroral Research Program. It's a University of Alaska Fairbanks program that studies the ionosphere, the part of Earth's atmosphere closest to space. Now, HARP's research aims to understand how radio waves interact with the ionosphere and how this affects communication, radar, and navigation systems, aka this is the deep state weather machine. And I've got a breakdown video right here as well.
Arrival of
everybody
major
wake
category
up.
4
Wake up.
Hurricane Helene. This thing is an absolute monster. But take a look at this anomaly that's shooting down almost to where we're going to see landfall. It's very interesting.
Right,
I'm curious to see if this thing actually
they're coming for Trump's
right on top
stronghold, everybody. Look at it. It's heading right for Mar-a-Lago.
What do people think that is? A fucking alien?
Well, look, it's a giant arrow. No. Okay, so here's what happens. Now, I'm speaking now for the rest of the segment as the conservative expert. Okay, I'm putting on my conservative crackpot hat here. So the theory with HARP.
Believe what he says. The conservatives have misunderstood this for a long time. Go on, Griffin.
So the thing with HARP is they're claiming that basically they are instigating weather catastrophes by ionizing the atmosphere to create storms. beams. Okay, so they're putting up little bits of radio waves and electricity to trigger things. Now, deep state claims that HAARP is used to just study the atmosphere, and in fact, the levels of the atmosphere that HAARP experiments on are not parts of where the weather is. Weather is conceived in lower levels of atmosphere, and the levels that HAARP are investigating are even higher out in our atmosphere. That's their claim for why they're not controlling the weather. But let's follow this arrow a little bit deeper.
It's going to be. Now there's something else kind of shooting out here underneath this layer of moisture over the southeast. It looks like it's coming from either northern Florida or a radar tower in southern Georgia. But the main one right here, look at this big beam that shoots down right to about here. That's where we're expecting landfall.
Look at that. Look at that beam. Like Godzilla.
HAARP just came all over the
You know what? You know what, y'all? I'm looking at this and I'm thinking one thing to myself, and I'm thinking that, well, this can't be man-made. This can't be weather-made. I think we got to start asking ourselves if this is a spiritual phenomenon. Right. I wonder if God is punishing this country for falling to communism. I do believe that we may have been victims of God's wrath here in the good old American South.
I think so.
One thing I will say about this that I do find kind of interesting is I recently read about and learned about what's, I believe is called cloud seeding technology that they use in places like Saudi Arabia. And there's a debate about whether or not this technology is should be used essentially, and whether or not it's contributed to some of the mass flooding that's occurred there. They don't know if it's like a result of this cloud seeding technology, which basically helps it rain because it's so dry and they don't get enough rain in parts of the Middle East essentially. So they have to create artificial rain. So it's not impossible. This whole weather machine idea, as crazy and goofy as it sounds, it's actually not entirely impossible. We are scientifically advanced enough to basically control the weather. That being said, I don't think it's possible to create a freaking hurricane the size of Hurricane Helene or whatever the hell. You know what I'm saying? I don't think it's gotten that far. And even if it had, I don't really see anyone talking about why they would be.
Well, to your point, Gavin, listen, if this technology really did exist to create hurricanes, there would have been 100 hurricanes that would have hit Gaza over the last year. There's no way that the fucking Mossad didn't get the weather machine first. I'm sorry. They would have used the hurricane tech by now.
It was a divine intervention. I reckon it was. I reckon it was. It's an early tale sign of Noah's storm. I'm building an ark here in my castle in the UK.
Too many truth tellers.
Me and the rest of us here are going to be leading a revolution where we gather 2 of each kinds of mammals and other kinds of reptiles and fish and other individuals. We're gonna put them on a boat,
and we're gonna
check out the latest baptism posting from Russel Brand.
We're gonna take one of each animal that's been Me Too'd and put them on a boat and give them a Rumble channel to become truth tellers. We're streaming from the Ark here. I'm with 2 eagles that have both been known to be a little handsy in the boardroom. It's the thing is so the conservatives.
Everybody relax. Okay, I'm trained in falconry. My father was trained in falconry. Every Kennedy boy in our home had to be trained in two things. One, falconry, and falconry, and we're gonna use that
management.
And one thing that the Kennedys were made for was repopulation, and I think I've been chosen by God to be a part of reseeding after the apocalypse, and that's why me and another soldier of God, Russel, another man bequeathed with a need to reseed and repopulate. We're going to do the Lord's work, and we're going to save the day.
I reckon it. I totally agree with you. And thank you so much for joining us today on Stay Free.
Wow, listen, you could you could do the show. He could take some days off and you could just do the show, I think. But yeah, I mean, the conservatives are fully running with this now. HARP is officially in the lexicon. We've got like major conservatives here breaking down, creating maps. They're showing like, look, here, all of these places that have been hit are the Republican areas, but look, the Democratic cities, the cities, the blue cities have been saved.
What?
It's probably super hardcore for you guys.
This is like the Democrats' version of like purging the voter rolls or whatever. They just send the hurricanes to like decimate all these like Republican rural communities, but save all the the Democrat strongholds.
After 760,000 voters were taken off of the registration in North Carolina, look what happened. Is that a coincidence?
And Bill Gates has wanted to do something with this too, right? Like atmosphere stuff. I've heard him talk about that before. Regardless, it's just like, if this technology did exist, it would be used for evil right now. Like it wouldn't be used to just like destroy the East Coast. That just, for me, I don't see it.
I mean, billions probably of federal aid is going to have to go to rebuilding these communities that have been afflicted by this hurricane. Who is benefiting from just creating a hurricane to wipe out a bunch of shit and then have to rebuild? Like, I mean, I get disaster capitalism and all that stuff, but like from the perspective of like the fucking deep state and shit, like, okay, now we have to go in and it just makes everyone's life harder.
They're trying to turn it into New York City.
If I was the government, I wouldn't want to be dealing with shit like this. I would rather things be going smoothly than like, oh fuck, now Asheville needs billions of dollars in federal aid and everyone's going to be bitching about how we didn't do enough to help them. Like, you know what I'm saying? What's the point? I just don't really get where this conspiracy leads. Do you know like what the point of it is? Like, why are they controlling the weather?
Oh, they're trying to steal the election again by destroying conservatives' ability to not mail and vote, I guess. I don't know. Like, yeah, like this is an attack on conservatives from the weather, apparently. I think that's it. I really think that's just it. I don't think there's any more there. I mean, like, if they wanted this to be a cool way for us to go to war again, like, they needed the hurricane to be Muslim. It needed to be like Hurricane Mohammed or something so that we could, like, fight Iran,
Yeah, like, the hurricanes, like shit like that, like, Islamic.
Where's the representation in the hurricane names, everyone? I'm raised. You know what? This is a critical issue in these times. I mean, how can we really cater and spread the woke mind virus if we're not being really inclusive in how we're naming our, I think we should name him after. I think we should name it after the guy who passed from Hezbollah. What do you think?
Yeah, Hurricane Nasrallah. God, R.I.P. to a freaking real one. Okay, honestly, if anyone could make a hurricane, it would be him. Your problematic bestie.
All of the hurricanes over the people we've killed, right?
God, Nasrallah was such an oomphy. But don't worry, guys. American rescue is happening. They're here and they have found an American flag and they are folding it up for retrieval. Don't worry, no, not retrieving any grandmas or any disabled people stuck in the storm. They have found a dirty American flag at the fucking gas station and they're retrieving it. Mission fucking accomplished.
The military.
Are
they colonizing Asheville now? Are they going to start drilling for oil? Are they going to? Doesn't that look like it looks like Iraq or some shit?
Yeah, they're gonna start going back to the poppy fields.
Yeah, they're like,
yes. I think we can grow some opium here.
Power vacuum
keeps taking over.
Yeah, well, we're not allowed to grow any in Afghanistan anymore because of the freaking Taliban. Those party poopers. Did you guys hear about that?
I saw you. Yeah, I saw you guys did a segment over on that. That was actually, I think, how I read about it. But yeah, the opium production's at an all-time low in Afghanistan now.
The Taliban basically outlawed it. They're like, no more opium, and it's like, oh, I guess, weird. The second we left, there's no more opium growing or being distributed in Afghanistan. That's
isn't it also crazy that correlates with all-time lows in overdose deaths?
That's right, folks, which means that we have to get back to Afghanistan. To quote Jack from Lost, we have to go back, okay? We got to get back in there because,
I'm proud to be an American where at least I know I'm free.
I want to die from heroin. I don't want to die from fentanyl that's in my Adderall that I bought at the corner store. Okay,
I want to die from heroin grown in my own country.
Yeah, exactly. I'm tired of exporting all the fentanyl. I mean, like we need to bring fentanyl back home. Okay, we need people back to work lacing my Molly.
The American manufacturing industry. You know what I mean?
Like
whatever happened to a good old fashioned company like Philip Morris? Huh? That used to be a proud American institution. Whatever happened to them? Huh?
Yeah. Ever since they stopped, Electric Daisy Carnival has really gone downhill ever since the fentanyl crisis, and not enough people are talking about that. We are about to reach an hour. We're about to do the second hour over on the Circle Jerk channel. Well, don't worry, we'll raid into there, and that's where we'll be taking Discord questions, call-ins, and doing a few more segments. But we did get some super chats from the stream that we want to hit those first. So we've got a few, and I'll go back because I know there was 2 or 3. Milkman says, guys, I want to know your thoughts on how the left should be helping rein in young men or me in the general. How would you describe the problem? Solution? So rein in you? We got to rein you in. Okay. You're a wild man. Yeah.
Hallelujah. Raining man.
Listen, I'll let Zach go first.
Listen, buddy, do you like to
pina coladas
and getting caught in the do you like pina coladas? Huh? Is that what you like? No.
I love them.
Why should you vote for Kamala Harris? Because you're a good person, dude. Because you're deep down. Because you're not a selfish piece of shit. You might dream of winning the lottery one day and fucking a bunch of hookers and throwing it all on red in Vegas, killing some bottles of tequila, getting real lucky. But that's not gonna happen. Okay, you're gonna live a regular life. You're gonna be a regular guy. And don't you want your neighbors to be happy? Don't you want people to be safe and sound? That's what you're betting for. That's what you're rooting for. All right. Or do you want deeper division? Do you want an ugliness around us? That's your options. That's the choice you get in America. Do you want the pretties or the uglies?
A deep moral rot factoring in our society.
You know what?
Sure.
It's a real hoot and a half.
Yeah, I don't know if there's anything that they can do more at this point, because I feel like the reason a lot of like young men are like going apolitical or right wing is just because of like just more general isolation, I guess, more general alienation, and just generally like, I don't know, like male roles kind of changing. Man. Yeah, societal degradation. Yeah, a little bit of that, a little sprinkle on top.
So I'm not really sure. Yeah, dude, it's just you know what, dude? I think it's all the women's fault.
I mean, you know what? That also, but they could try that for a little bit. They could blame women. But no, I mean, like, don't listen to Zach. Zach pays like $300 a month to live in like a 2-story house in Kansas. That's not the experience of most people. Most people are struggling to live in like a studio apartment. Dating apps suck. There's a lot of reasons that people feel alienated as like, young up and coming men. But I'm not really sure if like a presidential election can like do a lot to like fix that or like speak to that.
About? Like Griffin's projecting a past on me that is not.
Are you talking about like? Are you talking about like what pitch Kamala should make to young men?
Yeah, to like get more young men.
I tell this young man that can't make up his mind in the general election. What's Tim Walz and Kamala gonna do for him, Gavin?
In more general sense, how can they speak to young men?
Their message is not for you if you haven't picked it up.
I mean, I'm trying to think, because
it is humiliating that.
I mean, I think that there's a lane for Tim Walz specifically, and again, this goes back to why I think it's ridiculous that they aren't sending him out into more podcast kind of spaces. Like, I actually do think Tim Walz is someone that could go on like a Joe Rogan or a Theo Vaughn sort of show and have a very honest conversation about the issues that are facing young men without making it sound like he's judging these young men for having these issues, like just having a conversation about what's going on. Like you talked about the dating app thing. Obviously, Tim Walz has a son, so he could talk about Gus's experience. I mean, I think there's a real lane there. And obviously, the dude was a football coach. He spent a lot of time with high school age or middle school, I forget which. You know, he spent time with the younger generations. He's not totally out of touch with the youth like a lot of people of his age are, because of the fact that he was a teacher and a coach and, you know, part of the education system for as long as he was. So yeah, I don't think there's any reason at all they should be hiding him from having those conversations. I think he's really good at, you know, making the left wing or Democratic position sound just totally normal and reasonable, even when people think it's not, going into the conversation. So yeah, even on an issue like the trans stuff, right? Like, you know, a picture him in an interview with like Theo Von or Joe Rogan or something, and they bring up the whole like tampon Tim thing. I feel like a lot of politicians, they wouldn't know how to properly respond to that. They would try to pander. They try to, you know, speak outside of both sides of their mouth or something, get defensive. I feel like he would just be honest and able to have that conversation in a way that didn't turn off, you know, alpha males, but also didn't turn off just normal, empathetic liberals and just, you know, anyone.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that's good points, and I think that's pretty much all they could do in like 35 days till the election. So I got another question here from Larry Polston. Says Israel preparing to attack Lebanon for 20 miles of seafront land. Yeah, I mean, I think they're definitely trying to take
that's my dad,
a lot
for reference.
Oh, okay, yeah, and he's saying like a
Larry?
question mark. I like that. He's like, you know, I mean, listen, seafront property. You know, that could be a hell of a golf course, hell of a hotel. But yes, it seems like they're really trying to take a big bite out of Lebanon. Have you guys been tracking that?
I've been passively keeping an eye on it, although admittedly, I mean, only passively, right? Like,
You're
I
not
just
a
keep my
Hezbollah head.
fucking fingers crossed that it doesn't break out into any further war.
Right?
But I know we have U.S. troops going over there now. I know that it's escalating further. I know that it's a nightmare, and we're at any moment going to see a really broad, hot regional outbreak, and it's not something that I love to dwell on, considering I'm utterly powerless to impact it.
Yep, exactly. But you know, I mean, the Kamala and Biden administration completely are, and seem to just be like, well, this is what it is, and we're gonna do a Middle East regional war right into an election. So once again, not doing themselves really any favors.
No, I don't get it at all. I think it's ridiculous.
Yeah, and it but also seems like it's like they've given so much now that it's almost unstoppable at this point. So yeah, I mean, who knows what's going on there. We did get 2 other super chats, but I can't see them on my screen. Can one of you guys?
We got like 4 or 5, so I'll just read them and we can react to them.
Yeah.
International Party of Antarctica, thank you for the $2. He says, put those sunglasses on or start eating that trash can. Is that a quote from something? He put it in quotes, so maybe that's like a movie quote I'm missing or something.
Yeah, shout out to you. That's a deep cut. We hadn't heard that one.
I need to put mine back on. I forgot.
That's Rocky 5, actually. That's from Rocky.
There we go. Yeah.
Oh, is it?
No, I don't know.
Okay, I've never seen any of the Rocky movies, so
Rocky 5's the one
mid.
with Tommy Gunn in it. Yeah, that guy died of AIDS, I think.
Who?
The guy, the new up and coming fighter. His name is Tommy Gunn.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, he was like shooting heroin or something, and I think he had a rough time in the late 80s, early 90s. Anyway, moving on. More history for you guys who subscribe.
Yeah, shout out to Asymptotic Behavior for the $9.99. Kamala is using the same strategy as Biden. Hide the VP and do piss poor interviews. The whole strategy backfired when Biden started talking more and ended with the infamous debate. What do you think about that?
So let's see. I mean, it's a pretty similar idea. I think that Kamala performed way better at the debate than Joe Biden did last time around. But I guess Trump kind of did implode and kind of give away the appearance in 2020 that he was bullying an old man, and Joe Biden kind of coasted on that to success. So yeah, I mean, I can see what they're doing. By and large, I think that they have it in the bag still. And that's what's kind of depressing on it, right? You guys are like, what are they going to change? What are they going to do? I think they have the fucking thing in their crosshairs, and they don't care if they win by 270, to whatever, right? It doesn't matter.
It's one of the closest elections in history, so I don't know where the confidence comes from, but
not in Zach's mind.
Not
too much
I'm
MSNBC.
I'm ready to reap what I don't watch MSNBC, but I read between the lines. You know what I mean? And I know how to judge the vibes of the country. And just I want to remind Griffin that I published my electoral college forecast in 2020.
I'm sorry.
And I only missed one state, and I'm pretty confident that if I miss one state this time around, I'm still going to be well within the
He got Missouri wrong. He was like, Missouri's got
close.
this.
I got Ohio wrong.
Yeah, I do think you're correct, asymptotic behavior. There's no reason to run the Biden strategy when the candidate's not Joe Biden. Like, obviously, there's a good reason to hide Joe Biden to keep him away from the cameras, but he ain't the candidate anymore. And Kamala's not that bad. Like, I mean, I know she kind of sucks at the off the cuff stuff. Sometimes
she
she'll
could get
ask a
better.
straight question,
She's young,
and instead of but it's like I've seen her do perfectly fine in interviews. I feel like this whole meme of like Kamala not being able to do an interview is a very new concept. But like if you go back to even the primary of 2020, a primary which, by the way, she did fucking miserably in, it wasn't because of her interviews. It was for a bunch of different reasons. For one, no candidate of her ilk could have won that primary. It was always going to come down to Joe Biden
to Joe,
and Bernie Sanders. So, Kamala, Cory Booker, all of those people, none of them could have ever won. It was hopeless from the beginning. It was all judge. Yeah, exactly. It was all just a branding exercise for all of these people. And again, she didn't lose because of her interviews. She was perfectly fine in interviews. So I don't know where this whole meme came from that like Kamala's going to collapse the minute she has to answer anything impromptu. I guess from that one infamous interview, right? What was the first one she gave as VP and then never gave another one?
Yeah, there was also the weird thing with the child actors where they had to hire people to make her
that was kind of cringe. But what was the one?
Wait, the child actors thing? What was that?
The space, remember?
Yeah,
she was talking about
she like hired a bunch of child actors to like appear with her.
Really?
It was SVP. They just did this like scripted. It was scripted. I mean, I don't know if they were actors, but either way.
Yeah. Anyway, also somebody clarified that quote was from A Pervert's Guide to Cinema, and I do remember, it was the They Live reference.
Oh,
yeah.
We are all eating from this trash can of ideology. Yeah.
One of our favorites.
A classic, Rowdy Roddy Piper.
Apparently not.
Bro.
I love the fight scene in the alley. Incredible scene.
They Live is one of my favorites. I don't watch A Pervert's Guide to Cinema very often, which is where that quote was from.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, the quote's from
Take off the glasses and stop eating from the trash can. We are all eating from this trash can called ideology.
All right, what
percent in college?
What percentage of this is quintessential? Thank you so much, quintessential. What percentage of Americans do you think have enough money and time to learn about war and peace? So don't have the excuse of tough life, too much on the plate. What percentage? I think all Americans have enough time and money to pay attention to war and peace. I think what he's referencing is like, if you're just working 3 jobs, taking care of 2 kids, trying to put food on the table, you're probably not like as concerned about whatever is afflicting the people of the developing world. You're probably like just more locked in, dialed into your own personal life. But I still think a lot of poor people actually probably care more about U.S. imperialism than rich people because they understand what it feels like to be oppressed by the American state. So they actually have more solidarity for victims abroad than the people that are just living high and enjoying life and, going to brunch every day. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that
as someone
really
who works
what it
brunch.
comes down to is the fact. Yeah, well, the reality is that people know what's going on, and I think that's something we have to address better as media.
Some people do. A lot of people don't give a fuck.
You don't think people know that there's a huge amount of atrocities going on in the Middle East?
I think people think that for their entire life, there's just been a huge amount of atrocities going on in the Middle East.
Well, that's what I was about to say. It's not so much that they don't understand that bad things are happening. It's that they themselves feel powerless to stop it. So at some point, how informed do you really want to be? I mean, I even articulated that. I'm like, our show is more about domestic policy. So no, I don't read the like nitty gritty of all of the foreign policy stuff going on because I don't feel like I'm even going to be equipped to speak about it on our show in any way that's not like passing support for something that's happening or reacting to somebody else that's talking about it, right? Because I'm not an expert, I'm not a historian, I don't cover the actual documents as they're coming out, right? But I think a lot of people, they're just like, yeah, dude, we're absolutely fucked when it comes to all of that shit. I'm trying to get mine. I'm trying to take care of my family. And so I think it does become the first thing that falls to the background, right? And that's why America's able to get away with what we do, because we always have had this war machine in the background. And what they realized was if you don't send guys to be drafted, right? And honestly, if you can avoid having a bunch of body bags coming home, the American people don't give a fuck. And it's because whether they go out and march in the streets. Gavin and I went to a lot of the early Palestine protests in Kansas City, right? We went to the Palestine protests outside the DNC. Okay, they just ignore you. And then it goes away, and people. It's kind of like the protests that emerged after the Iraq War and the war, in 2003 and 2004. It was like they just weathered the storm. Both parties said they were going to continue to do whatever the fuck they wanted in the Middle East, and people were like, I guess. We'll vote for Barack Obama, and then he did whatever the fuck he wanted in the Middle East.
I've been saying for a while that I think it's kind of going to become an issue like climate change, where everyone's aware of it, but everyone also realizes that there's nothing they can do to stop it, including voting. Like, Kamala's probably better than Trump on climate change, but no one's under the illusion that she's actually going to crack down on big oil. No one's going to crack under the illusion, right? In the same way, it might be marginally better to vote for Democrats on the issue of foreign policy, but I think most people have realized that, like, when you go to vote, you're voting on like the border, abortion, domestic issues. Like, the war machine is going to continue. The military industrial complex is going to continue. If you want to protest it. But, voting is not really going to influence anything, at least not in a general election, in my opinion. And I think most people understand that, as fucked up as it is.
Especially when your two options are Kamala Harris and Donald Trump.
Yeah. It's the basis for American fascism, that as long as that's not happening to me, I'm okay. And I think that is going to extend into the immigration crisis, into the even larger waves of people trying to get into the country. And
Okay, well, we all understand, as I just laid out, that unfortunately we live in a country that's highly militaristic and imperialist. Do you not think that people that live in that are born into a situation like that have the right to advocate for their own domestic rights? Should we just all stop caring about what happens to our communities and our neighbors because we live in an imperialistic, militaristic country that does horrible things abroad that none of us can control?
In fact, I'm saying the exact opposite. I'm saying that people, to sort of like annul yourself or to make your heart go cold to certain issues, are going to bleed into all sorts of certain issues, because what happens when we start to kill people running over the border and stuff. Like the sanctity of like life itself has become watered down and
we are doing that.
Like, for instance, whenever Ukraine, whenever 100 people die in Ukraine, it's like so much less impactful now that we see that happen every single day. In Palestine, it's how we can then grow colder to immigrants, which is what the Democrats are doing right now as well. And I do think it does bleed into other issues, even if people or voters don't directly connect them. I do think it waters down our view and our sanctity of life itself, which maybe can't correlate to an exact general election, but I do think it is fundamentally the basis for us as the empire to be able to do untold evils for as much time as possible, because at least it's not happening to us.
Well, I think that's the story of America, right, Griffin? Isn't that the story of American history, a story of expansion, prioritizing our benefit over the subjugation of others, whether that be the Native Americans, whether that be individuals of chattel slavery. So I think that's the timeless question of America, right? Which is, how do we unravel that? How do we both effectively do what Gavin says, which is, of course, you can't win an election if you don't tell people that they can't advocate for their own material needs at home.
But
so how
not
do we create the space for them?
But you guys are separating them. The Democrats have separated them, but they're not separate. And the Democrats are trying to separate them. They're trying to say, let's just care about the women in this country, not care about the women that we're killing every day. And I fundamentally believe that you can do both, that you should do both, that they are connected.
But I just don't think people see the option to make that choice by the 5th of November.
Right. And that's exactly what I said. I don't think you can correlate it in exactly to this general election, but I think the idea to wave off all foreign policy and all the evil that America does as something that never comes back and blows back on us, or blows back on just the fundamental way that we see life. That's my argument. I'm not making any
I don't think that's I totally agree with you. I think it's 100% going to blow back. I was saying on the show the other day that we're going to be lucky to avoid nuclear war and get like 100 9/11s over the course of the next fucking 50 years. Like, we're going to, of course, pay the price for what we're doing. You don't think there's going to be a million radicalized young men that want nothing more than to fucking destroy our country and kill everyone in it because of what the damage and horror we've inflicted on their people, on their community, and on themselves? Of course that's going to happen. I'm 100% aware of that. I'm just trying to say that, like, I think we should give more credit to your average American voter who does care about this stuff, but literally also understands that there is nothing they can do about it. Like, literally nothing. I mean, I'm sorry, but what do you want people to do about it? Like,
no, in the context of this election, yeah, I agree with you, but I think that this is again, and
you're talking about getting, like, people getting cold and heartless and caring less about their humanity of their fellow neighbor. Okay, but and I agree with that. I think that it's like that's been the case for as long as our fucking military industrial complex has been around. The Vietnam War, I mean, the same thing was happening. But like, I don't think that. I just don't think it's a poor reflection on the moral character of average Americans who are totally powerless to stop it because they do care about preserving their rights and the rights of their neighbors. They don't want to live under an even more fascist country.
Yeah, you're not. That's not what I'm saying at all. You think I'm attacking the voters? I'm attacking the Democrats for creating this fake choice, for creating this like idea that like we actually can't do anything about these issues and we should just like focus on domestic stuff. I think that is like a fundamental evil thing that the Democrats have set up,
yeah,
and it will.
I'm not disagreeing with that.
Yeah, and it will blow back on us. I think sometimes you guys think I'm like blaming individual voters.
I thought you were talking about American voters growing cold and heartless.
No, I'm saying it does have that downstream effect. Your heart does become colder to the violence. Seeing 100 people die in a hospital in October now just has even less weight because you see it every single day.
I mean, it was kind of like in COVID, like a year into COVID, and it was like 100,000 people just died of COVID last night, and it's like, oh, who cares? Like, you know, that all desensitization is absolutely like a big problem, especially with a 24-hour news cycle and doom scrolling on Twitter, and everything you see is more horrific than the last thing you saw, and there's nothing you can do to, of course, people are going to get desensitized. They're going to start tuning out all of the horrors. That's what I was saying about climate change. That's what I was saying about climate change. The reason why no one cares about climate change other than like activists is because it's depressing as fuck, and no one wants to think about how in 30 years we're all going to be dead because of it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know.
Right. Well, yeah. So I'm just mad at the Democrats for doing this, for creating this fake choice that then, like, you know, whether general voters are aware of it or not, makes everyone a little bit colder and a little bit more ready to accept horrible acts of violence, not just across like in the Middle East, but like on our very own border. Like, you know, if they fucking decide to fucking, you know, blow up like a city in Mexico, like I do think like stuff like that fundamentally like has like become on the table now. Like there's just like any horrible act. Like we used to say, like, you can't attack hospitals, you can't kill doctors, you can't kill journalists. That's all gone now thanks to the Democrats. Like all of that stuff is on the table again. There was more right-wing, more conservative presidents in the past that fucking put the leash on Israel. And the fact that this is the first administration to go completely
we've been
leash
like drone
off,
bombing fucking weddings since my entire life. I don't think it's some unprecedented new fucking like.
Well, specifically with Israel, this is incredibly unprecedented in terms of what we have allowed them to do and like how we've engineered this moment. It is completely unprecedented. They're going to wipe. They've
the Iraq War.
All of.
How is it? We killed a fucking million people.
No, again, I'm talking about Israel. The way that
I'm
we've
just saying,
handled
I don't
Israel.
feel like it's unprecedented. I grew up under the Bush era. My entire life has been the United States of America destroying innocent people's lives in the Middle East. I don't see how, like, in your average person's eyes, this is any more evil than that. They're both unquantifiably evil, but again, I just think most people understand that whether it's George Bush and the Republicans or Kamala Harris and the Democrats, like, horrible fucking genocidal war crimes are going to happen in the Middle East. I'm not making excuses for that at all, but I don't think that your average person sees it as all that much different than just the status quo of what we've been experiencing in our entire lives.
Yeah, and I'm not saying like an average person is like is dictating it. That's what I'm an unaverage person saying that.
Fair enough.
Well, I hear you, and I think that that's part of the problem, right? And that's why we're kind of stuck in this stasis, because we have there's some like we got to shovel ourselves out of the shit, right? Gavin and I were rewatching Twin Peaks: The Return, but like you have a fight on so many fronts, right? Because you have people who are, you know, very validly and rationally like totally disillusioned with their entire government because they have been seeing, you know, children starve to death, people with their heads blown off, journalists that they followed on Twitter and TikTok that are now dead. It's a real radicalizing experience for a lot of people. And then you also have people who were like, I remember when the Iraq War was my radicalizing experience, and then Barack Obama got elected and he got a Nobel Peace Prize, and then he started a troop surge and he bombed a bunch of other countries and he escalated massively, and we did an entire drone program. So I feel like for a lot of people, this just seems like the natural continuation of things. It just feels like this is the way it is. We're all slowly marching towards our doom, and that just facilitates this big existential feeling of nihilism, right? It just makes people feel like they're powerless to accomplish anything, which again makes people more vulnerable to leech onto anything that they feel like is an improvement, right? And that's what continues to be allows the American political system to be a race to the bottom. But anyway, I think we do have a few more super chats.
Well, the last thing, and then I'm sorry to run this long, but this is worse than Iraq. Like the pictures of like Guantanamo Bay like shocked the world. Now we see them raping Palestinians like on camera, and it doesn't move.
You don't think people are shocked? I mean, I guess I'm in an echo chamber. Everyone I know is fucking horrified by it. Everyone I know thinks it's the most horrific thing they've ever watched unfold.
Right.
Who are you talking about?
Well,
like the Democrats, obviously. Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, I'm talking about the net effect of what we're becoming annulled to. Like Guantanamo, like did like change things. There was like very select images from Vietnam that shocked people into stopping it. But now those images are daily, and that is different. It is different. It is different to see it happen every single day,
because we have
to be like kicked out of
social media. You mean?
Yeah. Yes. No, but not
because if we had that technology in Vietnam, then don't you think it would have been the same thing, and everyone would have also gotten desensitized? Like,
well, yeah, exactly. So we're not arguing. You're agreeing with me. It is different.
Yeah.
It is different, and it is even more scaled up in terms of us becoming desensitized to like the cruelty and stuff. So no, I would push back on that. I think that like how many college students were deported from the fucking country for protesting Iraq? Like maybe there was one. I'm not sure. That's happening right now to a student called Momodo Tal.
Right, but there were college students that got sent to Iraq and never came home.
I would also say like there wasn't like there was like a chilling effect for like a few years like after like 9/11 with the Iraq stuff, but like I fundamentally feel like the amount of people in this country, in the US, in media, writing articles like online that are like fully endorsing this and cheering this on, like I do think there's like something societally even more sick about it than before.
That's always happened. There's always been freaks that you could pick through, though, right? There's always been, look, we need to carpet bomb the Middle East, right? We need to fucking turn Afghanistan to rubble. Like, we're going to fucking...
We're in Borat. We're going to kill every last man, woman, and child in the desert of Iraq. And then they all
cheer. So, like, what I think is the problem, Griffin, is that we could say all this until we're blue in the face. Nobody knows how to change that. And I think that's where people become like they just check out, because it's like, yeah, we're all fucking becoming more, complacent. Our sense of community is eroding. We're escalating our violence and also our ability to see that. So we have to either reflect upon ourselves or disassociate. I mean, I feel like that's kind of the conversation that we've been having for the last 11 months. But nobody has a solution for that. And then you have, the two options. Really,
there is a solution for it. Stop it. But I guess we the Democrats refuse to. And so again, you guys think I'm yelling at voters. I'm yelling at the Democrats. Like I'm yelling at the Democrats for removing, like fucking 30 years, maybe even since World War II, in terms of the scale of civilian casualties.
I also think that, and I'm interested in your opinion, not to defend or justify anything or anyone, but I do think a lot of Americans, they just don't realize the extent to which we are Israel. Like I think they hear about what's going
Israel,
on,
Yom Chai.
and they think it's just like a Middle East on Middle East violence situation, where it's like, oh yeah, these two countries in the Middle East, they can't get along and they can't stop fighting. They don't realize that like Israel is essentially the 51st state. That's us. We're funding that genocide. We're creating that war. But again, a lot of people, they just don't get it. And they're like, yeah, I'm sure Israel's bad, but so is Saudi Arabia and Iran and all these war-mongering terrorist kind of countries. That's just how people think about it, as racist as it sounds. And I do worry that kind of lets America off the hook. I don't think if I talk to even some of my best friends, closest people in my life, that they fully understand to the extent that we're facilitating this, and it's our taxpayer dollars that are funding those bombs.
100%. So did that answer your question, Super Chat? Well, you really got your fucking money's worth. That was a cheap one too. That was like a $2 one.
Yeah, come on.
We better upcharge on that one on the back end.
Circle Jerks America is a capitalist enterprise, okay? Griffin, this guy's coming at us live from one of the most expensive per capita real estate markets on planet Earth. He wants to lecture about our lifestyle in flyover country.
I'm in the most expensive Hasidic neighborhood with the most expensive Jewish tunnels in all of New York.
Dude, whatever came of that? What was it? What was the conclusion to that?
I'm going outside all the time, and I'm asking people all the time. I'm blocks away. So guys, we are going to take call-ins from people who come into the Discord. We're gonna do a few last fun stories over on the Circle Jerk channel, which we can start. We can, I guess, raid or whatever the fuck YouTube calls it now.
Yeah. Once I end this live, everybody get.
No, don't end it. I don't think you do. You end it first, or do you send them first and then end it? I'm not sure.
No, when it ends, it automatically redirects everybody in YouTube.
All right,
but,
we'll see over there.
I think we got all the super chats. There might be one or two more that we can quickly address if that's cool.
Screenshot them. We can get them on the Vanguard later too.
Yeah, we can still read them. Yeah.
Okay. Also, I do think that we should save the segment we talked about doing for tomorrow.
That's fine
because I don't have access to the StreamYard and I can't pull everything up.
Yeah, no worries. So we'll cut at the end of Circle Jerks. We're gonna punt on the last.
If you want it, I can cut it for you guys. I can pull them up.
No, it's all good. I have a whole thing laid out.
Yeah.
I would it would just be like easier to get the segment right if we do it tomorrow, I think. But feel free to drop on to tomorrow's Vanguard stream, Griffin, if you want to share your thoughts, because obviously we'd love to have you. Awesome. Let's do that then. Let's do that for sure. But yeah, we got a couple more questions. Did you want to do that on this stream or on
I figure we can read it. We can read them over there. Or whatever you guys want to do.
We can do it quickly. We can do it really quickly too. We don't have to give long, extended answers.
I don't know. You have to bait Griffin. He's gonna come on. He needs to give us a lecture. We're not hard enough on the Democrats.
Did we already answer Milkman's question about?
Yes, we did.
About the left helping young men. Okay, then I think we did get to basically all of them. The only other one is from House of Cardboard saying, "Do you like doing it raw? Vote Kamala." Thank you.
I like it raw.
And then Milkman said,
like it raw.
"Guys, I totally love the question. Left is best." So yeah.
Give me the mic and I'm gonna take you away.
Sorry, Milkman. If you had asked more than a $2 question, Zach would have given you the respect of letting me read it out loud in full. But sorry.
I was making a joke.
Kidding, bro.
Wow, Griffin.
I'm kidding.
Griffin and Gavin are the only ones allowed to talk at the tail end of the live stream. They're giving me a taste of my own medicine.
All right, we'll see you guys on the other channel, Circle Jerk. It's in the chat. It's in the description. Go subscribe.
I think that they'll get sent over.
Yeah, okay, cool. I'll subscribe anyway. Fucking fascists.
Yeah, that's right. Fuck you guys. Fucking Democrats.
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
Genocide lovers.
Oh, I bet everyone here is registered to vote too. Wow. Oh, great. Oh, are you getting your fundraising text from Kamabla? That'd be really funny if I got a text. I was like, "Hi, this is Kamabla. I need 500% support right now. We're matching."
Need more water real quick.
Well, I'm also trying to figure out how to end this stream. On our end. Griffin, have you ended the stream from your end on this one?
Oh, maybe I gotta do that. Let's see.
Yeah, because then I have to click like end the live stream on our end.
Okay. Well, let's see what I can do.
And then it'll
here.
raid over.
Oh boy. Shimmy, shimmy.
We're real professionals.
Shimmy. Are you sure you can't just restream now, or can you just end it on your end?
Yeah, so YouTube won't allow you to redirect until the end of a live stream.
Okay, so can you end it on yours?
It doesn't look like I have the OBS open to hit the end broadcast.
Okay,
that's going to be on the other end.
Shimmy, shimmy, oh, shimmy, oh, shimmy. You can answer another super chat question in the meantime.
I don't think we got any more super chats. I think we answered them all.
Epic.
So,
all right. Maybe if I can just turn this tab off. What does that do? Did that work? Offline. I'm not sending it there anymore.
Yeah.
Okay, I got 16 watching here.
Dope. Yeah, I don't know. I
think it
I don't use OBS, so no, it's still live on our channel.
Oh, okay. And you can't click restream. You can't click. You can
only schedule it to
or
happen
whatever
at the end of. That only can happen after the live stream's over.
So you should be able to go into your YouTube studio, and you should be able to hit stop stream in YouTube Studio.
So I can't do that until you stop streaming to our channel from OBS.
That's not true. Go to the stream, click on the stream, just like go into the stream backend.
Right.
Okay.
All right. We can stop broadcasting this because I don't want to argue with you in front of our fucking audience. But
no,
I'm telling
we
you
should.
Right now that
we should.
I mean, yeah, this is great content.
No, she said She said the channel ended. Yeah. Yeah, and here they come.
Okay.
Yeah, it's working. It worked.
I think so.
Yes.
All right. Well, I didn't have to click anything on our end for that to end, just so we know that for the future reference.
Okay. All right. We'll test that out. All right. Let's see if this worked.
We Gucci gang.
I think so. You missed that moment of hysterics, but I think we're live and broadcasting then with maybe 8 people watching on Circle Jerk.
No, they're coming in.
Redirect work. Are you guys trickling in? Are you guys flowing in?
I think they're trickling in. We'll have to see.
We'll see how this goes. This is our first time rating.
Oh yeah, 40 people watching.
All right, you guys are.
They're
coming.
slowly filtering in. It's refreshing. Okay, cool.
Hit the subscribe button.
Yeah, hit
YouTube
the
hates channels that are small like this.
Yeah, we don't make a single goddamn cent off this stream, guys, until we have like 1,000 subscribers. So become one of those first 1,000 people.
We're letting YouTube
pay the bills.
Exploit us for your valuetainment, for your entertainment.
That's
we might
right.
As well just be walking around outside. That's making 0 pennies.
Right, we're doing it for you for the love of the game.
Yep, I don't even know why I'm here.
We're busking right now. We have a few other stories to get into. I also have spammed the Discord in the live chat. Make sure to enter there if you'd like to call in. If you'd like to call in and ask us a question, we had some fun talking to viewers last time. Hop in the call-ins section of the Discord, and we'll drag you in for a live phone call. And while that's happening, while people are joining, what do we get to? I mean, we did some Russell Brand stuff earlier. Should we get to that, or what else do we need to talk about?
We could talk about Russell Brand really going off the deep end in the religious sense. He is ratcheting it up to a degree that, frankly, I did not even expect. It really does seem like he wants to just be like a Joel Osteen style televangelist, essentially. Like, I mean, it seems like that is the direction he's going in. Like, he's not gonna stop at just being a right winger on Rumble. It seems like he really wants to be like a Pat Robertson or a Joel Osteen type. And recently he posted a pretty funny video.
Yeah,
do you have the baptism one? The one where they're like in underwear?
Can you put that in the Circle Jerk DMs? I'm pulling up his I'm pulling up a more recent video of him with our boy Jordan. And then we'll get to that one.
Okay.
Voluntary unity.
All right, so there was a epic Rescue the Republic live event with great thinkers. So, I know we've been worried about the Republic, and here we are rescuing it. So we've got our 2 boys here. We've got Clayface and the Riddler. And let's check this out.
For new voluntary unity, not imposed top-down unity, Lord. Lord, I ask that we be brought together in these principles under your name. I pray for America, and if I have your permission, ladies and gentlemen, we'll end with the Lord's Prayer. Just do the version that you know. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name.
Hallelujah.
Just a voice and there's nothing explicitly Christian about this event. It's supposed to be like an like an anti-war or like anti-vax kind of like just kind of a Jimmy Dore left rally, like all these
against censorship is the threat.
Yeah, censorship, all that kind of stuff. But there's nothing explicitly Christian about this. I think it was organized by like the libertarian parties, Angela McArdle, who's a total fascist. But either way, there's nothing explicitly religious about this. Just randomly deciding to pray. Didn't Jordan Peterson used to call himself an atheist? I don't even remember him, doing this at shtick, but I guess he's all in too. I mean, when all your friends are doing it.
He was called upon by God to teach young people the morality that's been lost. And while he at one point thought we as a human race had surpassed Christianity, the woke moralist
Moralists.
The woke moralists have demand in it.
We got to put up the baptism post.
Yeah,
okay,
cool.
Griffin. Because this one's pretty funny, and I do have a theory about it. At first I was confused, but I do have a theory that I'm interested in your guys' take on, because it's getting increasingly ridiculous. It may seem a bit too soon to be baptizing people, but the apostles did it on day one. And this looks like from a fucking OnlyFans or something that's super homoerotic. I mean, like they're both he's in tighty whities, the other guy's in like very slim trunks. I'm not sure.
He's gonna give him like a Roman helmet. Like, what's going on here? Like, yeah, I mean, I think he's literally going to teabag him. I think that's what God did with his apostles. He teabagged each of them. I like the dog too. This weird sort of
standing him up so they can so that Russell could play him like a trombone. You know what I mean? I don't know. I think that something real hairy's about to go on after they've indoctrinated him.
So yeah, here's my theory about what's happening, because on the face value it looks borderline offensive to religious people. Some people in the comment section they were offended. They were like, this is not taste. Yeah, they were like, this is not tasteful. This is an insult to the holy practice of baptism to be doing it like this and posting it on social media for likes and stuff. But I think the real reason he's doing this kind of posting with the underwear, like clearly being a little bit disrespectful while simultaneously pretending to care the most about religion. It's kind of like when TikTokers intentionally mispronounce a word halfway through their video because they know everyone's going to leave a comment mocking the way they pronounce something, right?
Chapell.
He wants
Roan.
people he wants people to retweet this, pointing out the obvious and drawing more attention to it. So it is disrespectful to religious people, and it is probably going to cost him a few followers that actually give a shit, but it's also going to get him attention. It's going to increase the amount of people that see this tweet, and who cares? All press is good press when you're in this business.
Yeah, I want him to.
True,
you
right?
go first.
He's a shock jock. Oh no, that's all I was going to say. I think he's a shock jock, right? Like an all eyes on me mentality, right? And because there are so many star fuckers in the evangelical Christian movement, they know that this isn't going to he knows this isn't going to be enough to move the needle in any negative way. They'll all come back around. They'll come back to, eat from his trough once again. He's just going wherever the most vulnerable and easy to manipulate audience possible, and then again doing exactly what Gavin laid out. I think that's a very astute observation. He wants people to generate more buzz because of the cringe element, right? Because the obvious self-serving nature. But what they don't understand is that's never held anyone back in televangelism, right? Did it ever hurt Joel Osteen that he had a private jet and a mansion? Nope. Did it ever hurt Pat Robertson, 700 Club guy, that he was rolling in the dough? Of course not. These guys can be as hypocritical as they want because they're making content for clapping seals. They're just putting baby food in a blender and then spoon feeding it to people who are desperate to have their values and their beliefs reaffirmed and spit back to them. So there's no need for him to ever avoid that cringe.
Yeah, spit it right back into my mouth.
Like a baby bird.
I do like that he's like, I got pedophile Me Too'd, and so now I'm going straight into like unapologetic like religion shield. I'm using the God buff now. And it's like what's he gonna do next? Like, is he gonna start doing like confessionals like with people where he like fucking puts a glory hole in the booth? Like, what the fuck is next? Like, what he can't not do the pivot to religious stuff without putting his dick in it. Like, it's impossible to not have his dick be like the central focus of his content. So yeah, OnlyFans makes sense. OnlyFans makes so much sense right now.
100%. He's gonna be the religious OnlyFans guy. I think that's true. He's gonna be like the priest from The Sopranos, but instead of Carmela's lasagna, he's gonna be eating something else.
Yeah, it is really shocking though how quickly the pipeline from right winger to religious person is. Like, we talk about the left wing to right wing pivot, but it really seems like the actual appeal of doing the right wing pivot is that then you get to do the Christian pivot. I think that's where all the money really is at, guys, because they waste no time. Russell Brand, even Tucker, as soon as they got kind of canceled by the establishment, it was like 1, 2. Now I'm a fucking religious person. All of us, like, without even any warning.
Right. And so, you mentioned what is Jordan doing here? If he, was like a former atheist, woke moralist and stuff like that. And I'll tell you why. It's because he's in love. I think he's man crushing incredibly hard on Russell to an extent. He is dick riding Russell, and he has been for a few weeks now. I mean, chat, I want you to really take a look at the body language of Jordan as he watches Russell here, and tell me I'm wrong. Look at that. He's just in love.
We gonna do something. We
Hello.
He's.
something.
I've never. I haven't really seen him this happy in a long time. I'm happy for him that he's found love again. But I guess I don't know. Like maybe you need to like have an overdose and almost die in like a Russian hospital. Isn't that where he almost died?
Mm-hmm. The only other time I've seen him this happy was when the first time he heard live music performed in Nashville and he started crying. Do you remember that? It was so beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really keep track of Russell anymore. Like, does he get views anywhere?
Oh, dude, he's pulling in like a decent chunk, like 250,000.
Not as many as he used to, though.
On YouTube?
No, he's not as relevant as
on YouTube.
Oh, yeah, and on Rumble, I imagine he's their biggest fish.
Well, those numbers are totally fake.
Right. I'm only talking about his YouTube numbers. It's like
LOL Jimmy Dore.
LOL Jimmy Dore Russell Brand crossover.
Let's see. Okay.
Yeah,
no,
I mean,
wow,
he's
censored. 104K views in 4 hours. Censored. Trump just said this about vaccines and it changes everything. How is there still an audience for this? It's so boring.
Dude, I don't fucking get it. The vaccine stuff is the most boring subgenre of like, political YouTube, and they just make the same video over and over again and people click it.
His thumbnails are pretty good though. I gotta give it up to the thumbnails. He's doing the right soy faces. He's
definitely doing
Photoshop.
Well.
I thought he was more scuffed on YouTube at this point.
Right. I mean, he's probably doing about equitable to what he's doing on YouTube amongst all other platforms, because he has a Spotify show, he has a Rumble show. So I imagine that combined, he's probably, doubling his YouTube numbers.
Gotcha.
But the money has to be coming from outside sources. I don't think the real money's coming from the YouTube ad revenue.
I do think he's going to pivot away from the whole,
What's
big
next?
pharma religion. I just think he's going to become a straight up like Joel Osteen type, where he actually has a fucking congregation.
Mega church.
And he's going to be signed to one of these mega churches very quickly.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's kind of like always what
arc.
It's kind of like he's finally found his real place, right? Where he really adds value. I think he could kill it in a mega church. I think that would be a great space for him. Yeah, I mean, I would.
Oh yeah,
I would.
Natural
I'd go.
performer.
I would go and I'd have him drape his weird STD filled penis over my head for a baptism. I would, just to say that just to get a gander at it up close. Because it looks big. It looks big. I mean, that's the thing. When a guy is annoying and has a really big dick, it's tough. It's almost not his fault. It's almost all of his choices. It's not his fault. So we have a caller here, Tony D, up in the limousine. Tony D.
Hey, Tony.
Hey, how's it going? Can you hear us, Tony D?
Hello. Hello.
Tony,
hey, what's up?
What's going on? Welcome to Circle Jerk America. We're America. You're America. What's your question?
My question concerns Russell Brand.
Perfect.
My uncle has a farm. Do you think if Russell Brand went to a farm, he would assault the animals sexually?
Do we need a fourth mic? Do we need a fourth mic on this show? None of you guys asked any good questions. You guys, why are you blaming the voters? We need to be asking these questions. Incredible. Yes, 100%. It would be
if there were no other options. I mean, definitely.
I think he's already done it a few times. He's already tasted that forbidden fruit, Tony. I wouldn't keep my dog near him. Malcolm, he's too precious to me. I wouldn't even let the goats by that man.
Brand.
Apple.
But Tony, let's ask you: what animal is most in danger from Russell?
Yeah, what's the most vulnerable creature to Russ's
I'm gonna say rooster.
wrath?
Rooster.
A rooster?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. One cock can't handle another. I appreciate that observation.
This is the first time I want to approve of a cockfight. Okay, it's the first one I'm putting money on. Yeah, I mean, listen, it's freaking Animal Farm out there, isn't it, folks? Yeah, I don't know.
He's fucking the cats. He's fucking the dogs.
Yeah.
He's fucking the roosters.
The pigs and the horses.
He's sucking them off. He's 69ing the horses. I mean, it looks fun. Didn't say it wasn't fun.
Wait, who knew he's thinking about taking it on the road to Tijuana.
For future caller-ins, this is the kind of questions we're looking for, the hard-hitting ones.
Tony set the new high bar.
Tony, any last thoughts?
Yeah, do you have another one?
Final words?
Jordan Peterson was with Bill Maher recently. You think they
Yes.
often hang out and smoke weed?
Ooh, so Jordan Peterson and Bill Maher, do they actually hang? What do you guys think?
I think they might attend the same sex parties. I think the woke moralism must be defeated by a prime cock. That's what I learned from my friend Bill Maher at the Playboy Mansion. He broke through to me. He said, put down the pills, pick up the pussy.
Jordan, you're scaring the hoes, okay? Jordan, I just did
Jordan.
You go for it.
I do feel like Jordan Peterson and Bill Maher would probably get along behind the scenes, 100%. I think they would put whatever disagreements they have aside, like in 5 seconds, and just be like, "Could you believe these woke cancel culture warriors?" Like that's totally what would happen.
They have similar.
I don't know if he smokes.
What do you say?
What was that?
Peterson was on Bill Maher's stupid podcast recently.
Club Random.
Stupid.
Yeah.
That's the best podcast in this country.
It's not called Club Stupid. It's called Club Random.
Did you
It's
see
random.
the Fonz absolutely roast the fuck out of Bill Maher?
Oh, yes.
Absolutely
Oh, yes.
smack him around. That was awesome.
Did it?
The Fonz Henry Winkler.
Oh, I didn't see that actually.
It was a
on
good
his
clip.
show.
Yeah, and he's like laid back, and he's like Henry Winkler. He's like this super chill hippie guy, but he played the Fonz.
That's happening more and more frequently.
Oh yeah,
Bill Maher
he's
getting
basically
embarrassed on his own show.
Yeah, he does the inverted
have
Bill
Crystal
Maher, but
Ball
the
on.
result is the same.
Yeah.
What'd you
that's
say?
interesting. I'll have to check that one out.
What'd you say, Tony?
You know Bill Maher won't have Crystal Ball on his show again.
Yeah, I mean, she would tear up Club Random. Like she would. First of all, the whole place would have to get like blacklit clean, like the way they do in like Motel 6s. But yeah, I don't think he could handle that. That would be too intense.
I do. Yeah. One thing I do like. Oh, sorry. Finish your thought.
No, go for it.
Are you sure? Okay, I was just going to say that I do like that Club Random celebrates the more degenerate aspects of who Bill Maher is instead of shying away from them. There's too much like shying away from like, the degenerate aspects of what make us us in this day and age. So I like that he's just like, yeah, I'm going to get drunk and smoke weed and like have fucking gross pervy conversations.
Right. I mean, I do think in terms of like, does Bill have like any friends anymore? I think that like he probably doesn't have a ton of friends anymore outside of like people who work for him and have to be nice to him.
Yeah.
And so I do think that I think he's making a lot of late in life friends as he's become more radicalized or against the woke or whatever. So I think he's like, I mean, didn't he go on Gutfeld recently? Like he's making new friends. And you know what? I'm not against late in life friends, attacking male loneliness.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like Divorced Dads Anonymous, DDA. Except he doesn't have any children. He's never been divorced. He's just the guy that hangs around there, because he doesn't have anything going on. And, he's got a lot of the same societal grievances, right? So, like him and Jordan Peterson and Matt Taibbi, they can all get together and stew about how in the 90s, things were so based and now everything's so cringe.
They keep trying to cancel us.
Tony,
Anyways.
Thanks so much for calling in. Folks, we'll see you later, Tony. Please call in again. Incredible question. Folks, Discord link is in the chat. If you want to ask an incredible question of us, get on the show, join the Discord, like the stream, subscribe. Few just last kind of grab bag stuff as we kind of like round things out today, because I know we went long on the first half. Political violence. Nevada Democrats have hung a 43-foot-tall, 6,000-pound naked President Trump in effigy near Las Vegas on Interstate 15. The display cost
at least they made it Ozempic Trump instead of, the real proportions.
This is Ozempic Trump. He's like a slightly deflated, isn't he? He doesn't have
and
that
they
round
were
chest.
charitable enough to, enlarge the penis.
Yeah.
Remember those big blimps? Those big Trump blimps they used to fly around that people thought were so funny?
I guess those were too cute.
Yeah,
but
this is a
look
little
at this
more
penis.
like horrifying.
I can't.
Oh yeah, you're right.
See that? I can't enhance much more, but it's weird. It's thin, which I think is the right way to go when you body shame someone. You have a thin.
What's
penis.
this made out of? This statue?
I don't know. Freaking
looks like paper mache or some shit. It looks weird.
I think it's Planned Parenthood aborted fetuses that they put together into this one. I think this is
it looks like the amalgamation of all of Trump's weight loss procedures over the years. You know, when they vacuumed out all of the cheeseburgers and then stored it in a, all of the liposuction fat, from him and his cabinet. They got it together and they made an ornament for the gods.
I not to pearl clutch at all. I don't obviously agree with the political violence thing, but I do think that if you're going to put all this effort into creating a piece of like political art, this is like it's not really saying anything that isn't obvious and already that's been said a million times.
That's what's glorious about it. This is the embodiment of liberal protest.
I get it, but I'm just like, I remember when Obama was president, people would do the effigies of him, usually pretty racistly. But like, I'm just saying, like, if you're gonna do a giant sculpture of Trump, you can't think of anything more clever than like, haha, he's kind of fat, has a small penis, and we're killing him. Like, I don't know. It does seem a little. It seems like a little bit low hanging fruit. But I mean, again, I'm not protesting.
Future assassins are going to see this and then be inspired, I guess, by his very thin penis. Yeah, there was like a discourse in the first Trump presidency on like if we should body shame or not, and I feel like that kind of has gone away with like the same kind of like additional like when Me Too was also like more focused, these sort of like larger, for lack of a better word, woke things. I mean, I think Me Too was good, but I remember in LA there was like a naked Trump statue, and it did get a bunch of play in. Like people loved it at first, but then like the libs decided it was actually bad, and they took it down. And I thought that was
they got a guilty conscience.
It reminds me of the painting the guy that owns the Old Town Ale House did, and right in 2016 he like planted it right behind the main bar. Old Town Ale House is the Roger Ebert, John Belushi famous bar across the street from Second City. It does really give like antiquated like initial protest wave to 2016, but in that sense, that's why I admire it.
Was it like one of those Jim Carrey paintings where he like made it look really ugly?
Yeah, I mean the guy that owns that place, he's famous for doing paintings and pictures of regulars and stuff, and then he just made a disgusting version of
do you remember
Trump.
when Jim Carrey was doing that? He was like doing like Sarah Huckabee Sanders and like Donald Trump, and they were like going viral on like lib Twitter.
Oh, that makes sense.
These like monstrous, caricatures of Trump administration people and stuff like that. That was a big lane for resistance lib kind of content for a while. You are right. I remember some of those conversations about the body shaming stuff because people, obviously it was the same election as Hillary, and they were being like, well, you guys are saying we're being sexist, but no one's talking about how the Democrats are body shaming Trump. So
right.
Gotcha.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. I mean,
listen, reverse racism.
We know between the two candidates who's got the higher body count.
I mean, we definitely know for a fact who has the higher body count.
So that's, okay, we're not taking any hard stance on body shaming. We're waiting for someone more popular than us to come out like and Melania. Say if it's good or not. Now, a Melania naked statue, I would pay to have that in my home. I would.
Yeah. Did you hear her the new part of her AI generated audiobook where she talks about the nudes and like randomly rehashes a controversy that no one was talking about?
Do we have that? Let me see if I can find that.
It's probably still her like most recent tweet, honestly. She doesn't tweet very much.
Is she re-releasing the nudes in like 4K restored like definition? Like
I had no idea what the context. I didn't realize she was writing a book at first, so I thought she was. I thought she was releasing like a coffee table book.
Okay, so here it is.
HD.
My story, my perspective.
This memoir has been a deeply personal.
First of all,
no, this isn't the one, but
okay, well, this is about the memoir at least. If you can find the other one, put it in the DMs while we watch this.
I will.
Writing this memoir has been a deeply personal.
It's quiet. Sorry,
reflective journey for me. As a private person who has often been the subject of public scrutiny and misrepresentation, I feel a responsibility to clarify the facts. I believe it is important to share my perspective, the truth.
Ooh.
Yas, queen.
Oh. Wait, hold on. This fit goes crazy. Oh my god.
Oh, that's her. That does look nice. She look, although it does kind of make her look like a colonial, like,
well, she, yeah.
from like, back in like Africa, like out of Africa period. You know what
she's
I'm
trying
about?
to capture Indiana Jones is like what it looks like, like.
Well, she looks like Belloc, the villain in Raiders of the Lost Ark, not
exactly.
Indiana Jones.
No, she's trying to capture Indy. Yeah.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. A truth. She was hot back in the day. Not
She's
to go
still
there.
so
kind of
hot.
a fox, dude. Okay, fair enough.
And the book is beautiful.
I just feel like she has a lot of plastic surgery that's kind of weighing her down. I'm not saying she's hit the wall or whatever. I think it's we can have this conversation without being sexist, but when you inject
Don Lemon over here
silicone into your face for fucking 2 decades, it does show up.
Silicone is actually, that's a primary food group of Eastern Europeans. That's just like in their wheat. Okay, so it's been all natural for a long time.
Also, I sent the DM with the nudes. Not of the nudes, but
I was like,
that's
like,
for after the live stream. That's for the real circle jerk.
Yeah, sorry, members only, exclusive only on Rumble. Okay, let's see. Okay, wait, actually, so you guys don't see my freaking DMs with Harry Sisson. Okay, nice. Here we go.
Yeah. This was released randomly with no context.
Yes, exactly. This was like
a week ago.
This was like in between assassinations.
Why do I stand proudly?
Why do I stand proudly behind my nude modeling work? The more pressing question is, why has the media chosen to scrutinize my celebration of the human form in a fashion photo shoot? Are we no longer able to appreciate the beauty of the human body? Throughout history, master artists have revered the human shape, evoking profound emotions and admiration. We should honor our bodies and embrace the timeless tradition.
Like she sounds like my mom at the art gallery when I was like 5 and like snickering because of the dude's penis at the on the statue. And my mom's like, you know what? Like you're being very immature. The natural body is a very beautiful thing that artists have depicted throughout time. Like
Gavin's mom sounds like that. I'm getting a time machine. Sorry, baby Hitler. Sorry, baby Hitler.
Means of self-expression.
The book is sexy. I've never been sexually attracted to a book before.
It's like the
it's gorgeous
business card in American Psycho. It's the perfect off-color eggshell. It's a real striking image.
Melania.
I love collecting conservative novels, books. I have like a lot of great ones. I've got like Donald Trump Jr.'s book. I've got a lot of great books from conservatives over the course of the years. This is going to be a big one. This is a big one for me. This is a Barnes & Noble's big night. So? Yeah.
The problem, what I worry about though, is that it's not actually going to contain any juicy gossip or, tell-all kind of bullshit, and that it is just going to be AI-generated platitudes like what we just heard.
100%.
That didn't sound like Melania she didn't like write that. That was just like, either a ghostwriter at best or ChatGPT.
Right. Yeah. I mean, ChatGPT is getting better. Yeah. So that's body shaming. Let's end on this clip here. Are you guys Chapell Roan fans? Because I'm not getting into.
Not really,
okay. So I don't want to get into all the fighting or whatever. I just want to specifically make fun of one guy.
The guy that tried to.
Yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
I know exactly what you're talking about. This shit is so fucking cringe.
So Chapell Roan, she went out and she was like, both candidates are bad, but I'm voting for Kamala, but the Democrats are bad on trans issues in Palestine. And like every blue, no matter fucking who person on Twitter came out and attacked her for it. Yeah. But only one guy really did it like this. He did an epic clapback. He is an anesthesiologist that decided to do this video. Yeah, he's an anesthesiologist, and he decided to do this video as an epic clapback to really take down a 20-year-old. Or is she 20 or is she like 30? Who cares?
She's like 25, I think.
I think she's 20. Yeah, she's like a year younger than us, I think.
All right, here we go. Chapel fans, let's go.
I just woke up.
Well, good morning.
Obviously, fuck the policies of the right.
All right, we're on the same page on that one.
But also, fuck some of the policies on the left.
Retweet.
Oh, you lost me.
That's why I can't like, put my entire name and my entire project behind one.
I mean, that's kind of how voting works right now in America.
So, yeah, I'm voting for fucking Kamala.
In America, if you don't vote, they kill you.
Page. It's pronounced Kamala, though.
Oh my God, it's pronounced Kamala.
Endorsing someone? If someone is publicly endorsing a political figure, that doesn't even mean that they're gonna fucking vote for them.
I mean, what's the strategy behind that? I mean, after the
get her ass.
I don't think that's a thing.
If you make this video responding to a pop star
or person endorsing a candidate
with all your degrees behind you
in front of with your fucking diplomas.
Yeah.
You should
oh,
be
God.
redact.
I hate this. This is like the Chasten Buttigieg kind of fucking.
Oh, he
Democrat,
looks like
you know what I'm
Chasten.
saying? That's what I'm saying. He looks exactly like him. It's just like they're all the fucking same person.
But I do love Chasten though. Chasten's better than this guy.
You're right. To be fair to Chasten, he wouldn't do this.
Yeah.
You're losing me again.
No.
Jesus.
This is not me playing both sides.
Sure about that?
She said she's voting for Kamala. What more do you people fucking want?
Critiquing both sides because they're both so fucked up.
Yep, sounds like you're playing both sides.
Voting.
See, these people are the most like deranged, like this is why people hate liberals, because of this guy. Like this guy is, I mean, if I were a right winger, I would pay this guy's bills to keep making content forever, because he just makes the left look like everything the right wing hates, everything swing voters hate, the most unlikable, self-righteous, pedantic fuckers you've ever met in your entire life. And honestly, that guy, you just want to just knock his trapper keeper right out of his hands when you see him walking down the street.
Yeah, exactly. I want to just like, he probably carries all of his diplomas with him. I just want to push him down the stairs.
In the system.
Yeah,
I mean, that kind of is the system of democracy. But yeah, there's a lot more you could do in between elections.
Also, we could have a way more robust democratic system, genius. What'd you learn with all those fucking times you spend in college? Jesus Christ. We have a very narrow democratic system that's far less democratic than many, many other developed nations, like England, like all of Europe, my dude.
Yeah, and can I also say, like, being an anesthesiologist is like the riding the short bus to doctor school. It's got to be like the easiest fucking profession that gets paid a lot as a doctor. What, you fucking knock people out and check their heartbeat? Okay, good for you, buddy.
Yeah, so did my next door neighbor when I was in 10th grade. Congratulations.
Yeah, in most countries, that's called assault, brother.
In your mind is the best option for what
you must whip it.
Yeah, Kamala Harris is definitely our best option right now, as well as all the Democrats up and down the ballot.
And I hope this makes it clear,
including Eric Adams,
that no, I'm not picking the sides of what we have right now.
I mean, it kind of sounds like you've picked a side in terms of voting for Kamala Harris.
But why are you bitching?
Because it's not groveling enough. Because it's just not, it's not supplicant enough for them. Because not only, it's not enough to just vote for her. You have to say everything about her is fucking perfect and that you don't want anything to change.
Yeah. I do have one issue with the Chapell Roan video, and it's when she says there's a lot of fucked up policies with the right, and then she says, and there's a lot of fucked up policies with the left. The thing I disagree with is that there actually are no fucked up policies with the left. There's only fucked up policies with the Democratic Party, which bastardizes the left and pretends to be us. But the left itself, I think all our policies are the right one inherently. So I will not talk. Should have specified. But
Chapel Roan is canceled now from the left and the center.
Is she a sock dem or a dem sock? That's what I'm trying to get into this video. I definitely agree with that as well. But yeah, I mean, it has been. I think there's like, this video is really the Gen Z versus millennial like thing of our times, because like all of this stuff is like very Harry Potter millennial coded from him. In terms of like the defense of Kamala, and also like just kind of like the way that even like people from Israel and Israel's defenders, they all talk like this fucking like soy ass millennial, like actually, and Chapell is just kind of from a different generation that is just more consistent with their like moral values. And then on the issues, a lot of people were like hitting her on like, oh, like what issues are transphobic from the Democratic Party? Because I know she talks about that for a point, and it's like, I mean, they kind of are. They're not exactly like the biggest trans allies. I mean, they're certainly probably more than like the Trump camp, but like they've come out against sex surgeries for people under 18, and just a few other issues where it's like they're not exactly like your best fucking friend if you're a trans person.
No, they just know that the LGBT community has to support them because they're not the Republicans. Yeah, but no, it's not like the Democratic Party is. I mean, they might virtue signal every once in a while about how pro LGBT they are, but
Ain't nothing new but the flow of New Democrips and Republicans.
Exactly.
Blip, blip, blip.
Platform, but you can certainly read it. It's online.
Yes, one's obviously better than the other.
All right, we're kind of getting back on the same page again.
But Jesus fucking Christ.
Oh boy.
I'm going back to the Green Party, guys. Hello, Jill Stein. I can't stomach anymore.
Jill, let's get you back at the table with Putin. Let's get you another sit down with Putin, Jill. I'm ready. I can't do this anymore. Yo, hey, Butch, let's do some front-facing videos. Yo, Butch, you and me, dog, and then I see you in Cali,
get him on
bro.
Circle Jerk, bro. We got to get him on Circle Jerk.
Dude, that would be so sick.
It might be possible.
That would be so sick. And I'd be like, all right, this is the first time we're calling this one Butch Uncensored, okay, Butch? Like, I know you've held back a lot of your opinions to play politics.
Where you been?
But Butch, Butch, I'm thinking 2028.
Where are the Democrats going wrong?
Butch, where are you?
Butch, where could we be doing better with our commentary?
Butch, where? Okay.
That's the Butch signal has been put out.
Yes, I would. Yes, exactly. We are all Commissioner Gordon. We are lighting the signal for Butch. God, yeah, that should be our first big guest, I think. But that's, I think, where today ends.
We already had good politic guy. Put some respect on his name in the booking of this podcast.
Yeah, my bad. I'll talk to the booker.
Big Mac.
Folks, thank you for joining the stream today. This is our first time achieving restream status, so like the stream, but subscribe to the Circle Jerk channel. We'll be doing the second half of streams here, and maybe some random off-screen bullshit content. Anything else? Any other super chats we needed to get into that we missed, guys?
No, I think we're good for today.
Okay.
No super chats on this channel.
Yeah, unfortunately, not for a while. Not until you guys get 900 of your closest friends to come and get us monetized. But peace out, everybody. Thank you for jerking around this circle, and we'll be back next week.
Mm-hmm. Shout out to everyone for tuning in. Thanks so much. We'll be back.
Be sure to remember everything I said was correct, and everything these goons said was a lie
and racist.
These are racist, bigoted men, and I am here with the woke mob to moralize them.
Take us down a peg.
We'll as the lone waltz warrior. Gavin retired his colors. Apparently, he wasn't here when the going went tough. He was like, "No."
I had constructive criticism.
Not on this podcast. No, we look for blind loyalty among our ranks.
You're Waltz loyal. He's Waltz curious, and I am creating the first Waltz dossier, and I'm leaking that to Ken Klippenstein. Okay, and then I'm like, why is Ken
hire private security first?
I'm gonna say, why is Ken Klippenstein sitting on my Waltz dossier? Okay, why is he not released my Waltz dossier?
Put some respect on his name, Griffin. Gosh, is this another Kamala incident?
Circle Jerk is also homophobic. How can we be homophobic if I suck dick every day? Goodbye.
Yeah.